want something with a lot of space on the inside, something for the family, yet at the same time it should not be boring and it should be price-wise below the premium competition. This sounds a lot like the Skoda Kodiaq VRS, or RS for short, as we say in Germany, different on the markets each. And this one here in the new generation now, so there was a new generation Skoda Kodiaq, and now finally also the sporty version, the VRS, and everything you need to know about it. How good is it? How does it drive? And how flexible is it on the interior? 5 or up to 7 seats, everything of that with Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the front here, which has in the VRS version this illuminated front grille as standard here with a strip that goes all the way through. That looks pretty amazing indeed. And then this crystalline headlamps in this style. Also the matrix LED are standard here, otherwise an option. And you have a sportier contrast here in the lower part already. This here, by the way, the sensor. So this then all standard here. The good thing, I mean, in general, the brands that are, let's say, German or German inspired, because Skoda is belonging to the VAG group, they usually offer so many different options. But here with the VRS version, the good thing is almost everything you see is basically standard. And here the length is 4.76 m or 187 inches. These 20-inch wheels are standard indeed. And the VRS version always gets bigger brakes. And a funny, like detailed fun fact, they are always bigger, yes. And then the one of the 7-seater are a little bit smaller, but then have 2 pistons. So yeah, because the 7-seater is 45 kilograms heavier and also enables more towing even. The 7-seater even 2.5 tons is also a very interesting thing. The typical Kodiaq styling here in the new generation, a little bit crisper. Here you have this flying roof effect because this is kept black. And then you have the contrast here today, you know, a velvet red color. The race blue, for example, is also a nice Thomas blue color. Interesting also the DCC, the adaptive suspension, now the DCC Plus. VW calls it DCC Pro, same system, 2-valve system. So that means even more span between sportiness and comfort. And that's also standard here for this vehicle. Of course, the price is then also higher with all the standard equipment. Later, more about the prices. In the rear, the new Kodiaq generation has more modern tail lamps right here. And yeah, there we go. And of course, it always looks spectacular also when you hit the turning indicators. We did some night shooting for you, both in the rear and also in the front with the light signatures and also with the indicators or hazard lights. Yeah, that looks pretty amazing, doesn't it? Then here in the lower part, you can see, is this a job for the Autogefühl fake exhaust police? I mean, the outer tips for sure, yeah. Inside you can see the real exhaust end. And now there's something very interesting. So you know it, these sound actuators that are usually placed on the interior, that you hear it via the speakers. There's also a sound actuator here, but it's on the outside, on the exterior. So when you switch through the driving modes, like from comfort to normal to sport, and the biggest difference is from comfort to sport, then you hear it on the exterior already that it's getting louder, but you can also hear it on the interior. But on the interior, you hear it from the exterior, basically from the trunk. You know, there are these pressure flaps that when you like close the last door, that the pressure from the inside of the vehicle, the air pressure gets to the outside. This is like the audio channel where it comes in and then it's also audible from the interior. Very interesting, isn't it? Under the hood we have the 2-liter TSI. This turbo petrol engine, 4-cylinder, 265 horsepower now, though it's 20 horsepower more than the predecessor. 6.3 seconds for the 5-seater, 6.4 seconds for the 7-seater in the acceleration figure. And wait a minute, when the 7-seater is 45 kilograms heavier, that would actually mean that if you drive the 5-seater with a passenger, it should also be the 6.4 seconds, right? Funny thought, definitely. Skoda could not confirm that to me. Yeah, but that's what I was thinking, right? All-wheel drive, it's a classic Haldex system, so front plus rear on demand. And of course, when you push it all the way through, then even more is sent to the rear. By the way, you know, Skoda always has these small features here that make car life a little bit simpler, or like this here. This like the funnel here for the wiper fluid, because like you just open it and have an integrated funnel directly in here. So yeah, that's an interesting and nice solution, and yeah, why not thinking of more stuff like this, right? I just want to show you my beautiful view I always have on Leah while she is filming me. That's the best part of my job actually, but she wanted to show you here another feature. Here the integrated ice scraper. I mean, you know, that's never like good for the glass really when you use these, but yeah, sometimes maybe you don't have any opportunity like
but when this one is frozen here, then
yeah, I mean, when this one is frozen, then but then you also can't fuel up, right? By the way, we are in Croatia here for you today, and this is like this old quarry here, which is very interesting because it's super silent, because the stone is basically like sucking away like everything you hear and so on. So really silent, nice setting. Also close to the coastline here and so on. And I have good memories of Croatia. It's a beautiful country. Best greetings to all our fans in Croatia, by the way, which we also have a very big fan base there. And yeah, I've been here already as a tourist like many years ago. The Krika waterfalls are very beautiful, and also the Plitvice waterfalls. So beautiful waterfall areas, definitely. And when I was first here as a tourist, I just want to share that story for you because because it's really funny. So I was taking a taxi, and there was a taxi driver and alongside his son, so like a small, well, young boy. And I mean, what a great stuff to do, like together with father and son driving together in the taxi. And the father was just talking Croatian, and the son was actually then handling the tourists and asking like where they want to go and telling something about the country and so on. Really a peculiar thing. And the boy was suddenly talking to us in like very good German, and I was like, wow, like, how is it possible? Like, do you learn German in school here? Like when he said like, no, like, okay, why can you speak German so well then? And he says like, SpongeBob. I was like, what? SpongeBob? Like, how can you learn German with SpongeBob? And well, the solution was actually that he was watching like when he was really, really tiny, SpongeBob on German television, because obviously in Croatia they watch German television, and he was watching all the SpongeBob episodes in German and learning German by that, and then yeah, speaking German with the tourists. Like, yeah, really cool story I want to share with you. Now to the interior, key fob, high gloss black, a lot of fingerprints and scratches easily. And then the door, nice door closing sound. So it's solid each. There are also these door sill protectors available. This one here, in this case, without. Then inside of the doors, first of all, here the characteristic umbrella here with the storage. Here we have a nice red contrast stitching, microfiber here for the left elbow. And also here, this is a nice detailed work here with the decoy element. And look at here, the door handle has like this, this Y shape here from the inside. Also fabric at the inside of the doors here. So yeah, not so many cars have that anymore. Like to have that here in the Kodiaq RS.
Oh, Kodiaq entry badge.
Yeah, but not an RS or VRS entry badge though. But we have the VRS steering wheel here with the logo, then a perforation and also contrast stitching here on the inside. Gear selection is here right at the steering wheel, and we also have shifting pedals if you like that, digital instruments, more red contrast stitching here, and of course the highlight here, the seats, sport seats, special VRS or RS depending on the market. More shoulder support, wider, and they also close you in here and close you. Microfiber, and look at here, it shines through, you know, like the red shines through, and then there's the perforation on top, and especially here the front is actually quite plush. And well, they look sporty, but at the same time I found them quite comfortable, and yeah, they hold you tight. At the same time, it's not too much. It works for tall adults, so this is a tall adult proof seat indeed. And you can also here make this lower area a little bit longer, and also 3 memory seating saving functions. And with 189 602, this is the one here without the panoramic roof. There is one available, but here enough of headroom left, and manual control of the steering wheel in and out, up and down. You have scroll wheels on the steering wheel, for example, to control the volume, and also something of the digital instruments, so real buttons here, so a good straightforward interface as well. Dual lamination of the windows, by the way, here in the front. A lot to discover here in the interior. First of all, it looks kinda clean, but it's a good mix of digital and analog. You always have this 13-inch screen, but we still have analog dials here in the lower part. If they are that good, how they're built, that is to be questioned. So, I mean, they feel cool because of this galvanized knurling here around, but they could be a little bit more, you know, better attached here when I like rattle them a little bit. But I'm really happy that we have these possibilities. So easy to turn the temperature, left and right, 2-zone AC. I press it once, then we go to the seat heating, for example, and I can also hold to sync, then have left and right synced again. So that's a great solution indeed. And this middle button here is a multi-purpose button. I can use it for the driving modes, so I don't have to finger around in the screen while driving here for the different driving modes, or I can press it, and then here the fan speed, for example. And you can also set in the infotainment system if you want like 2 or 3 like different purposes for this button and which purposes it should have actually, so you can individualize it. That's really cool. So once again, hats off to Skoda for keeping us the real climate buttons. And the corporation internal competitors, the Tiguan or the Tayron, they don't have that. They have this multi-purpose button. Yes, for example, where you can put the driving modes on, but for the climate, you still have to do it here with the sliders or in the screen. So I think it's a better solution right here. Nice is always that, first of all, we have the microfiber covering here of this upper glove box, because you have 2. Yeah, that's always a nice feature. They're also both well built and also dampened and so on. Interesting, the upper closing sound, right? It was just, yeah, when you do it a little bit too much, then it's a little weird sound. But when you close it, you know, not too quick, then it's actually fine. Then here, this is either way, everything clean and closed, or you can open it. Then you have some storage, also 2 inductive charging pads here, left and right. They both work and they're both cooled actually, so ventilated. Open this one. Here, these Lego dots on the lower part that you can open bottles with one hand, these plastic bottles. You can also slide the cupboards here, make them higher, have here an open area, so really flexible. This is here this famous screen cleaner. There are also, this is just microfiber here, but there are also some available, for example, that have this integrated spraying mechanism. So both is available, of course, just an option. Then here, the armrest, nice and plush here with the microfiber and even more space underneath. So it's a well usable middle console, and you see here already ISOFIX on the front seat, because this is one of the ultimate family vehicles here, especially you know, for the customers in Germany where I'm from. And that's already very important that you have even more ISOFIX available here, of course. And we can dig deeper here into this POV. Driver POV. Here on the left side I have the volume control for the music. That's good to have, definitely. For the cruise control, there's the separate store column behind the steering wheel. The digital instruments are adjustable. So with the right thumb, you click through different modes right here. And yeah, they're all pretty interesting for sure. Also map view. Head-up display is also available. One of the very small extras. It's not flickering, by the way, just doing that on camera. And the infotainment system, I mean, it has this basic overview. Here, for example, also more climate features, or if you want to change AC on or off, that one you have to do then here. I usually leave it off in here for the interior part. Interesting is that here you can also deactivate or activate some assistance systems, but it's also possible to do it with a shortcut here on the steering wheel for the most important things, because here, when you click here, then you can deactivate this speed warning. That's actually pretty important, that you don't have these annoying beeps when you just exceed like by 1 kilometer an hour. So it's easy to do that with the steering wheel. Yeah, and the rest of the infotainment system, what's also interesting is here the integration, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto with or without cable. And what they also have finally fixed now is here when you use the climate unit, and then you always get this overlay. And before that, in an old software status, the screen turned black when you had CarPlay or Android Auto, but here it doesn't do it anymore. So you have the same overlay that you can see like when you're in this CarPlay mode, but also in the car internal GPS. A lot to discover here at the rear seats. First of all, inside of the doors, in the top part is hard, but at least somewhat structured, beautiful here with the pattern and the Y shape once again here, microfiber, red contrast stitching. Just here, no fabric covering at the inside of the rear door. And then this is so flexible. First of all, I'm going to show you that here, how the bench here, I mean, this is a massive difference, and there you can get more trunk space or more legroom. And also you can control it here in the angle if you want it steeper or more backward. Nice with the microfiber material once again, and also with this pattern. Isofix at the outsides each, and you can see here on the front seat there's also another top tether. In the middle part you have a climate unit. When the engine is running you can also have seat heating for the rear seats and 2 USB-C chargers in the lower part. There is of course a middle tunnel here for that all-wheel drive system. And well, the cool thing about this vehicle, I'm driving as a tall person and there's a lot of legroom left, and I love that offering of space here when the bench is all the way back. Just to show you again, I could even sit here when the bench is a little bit more forward. Here, like this is a difference where I can slide it forward or backward. That is really flexible, pretty cool. And even like this, I could still sit. Of course, we will soon also show you the 7-seater version. This one here being the 5-seater, and we'll soon compare it to the 7-seater version. Here, first of all, the headroom, also no problem at all. So a lot of space here and good, comfortable seating position. Also here, like how the angle of my legs is and so on. So that's actually really, really nice. And here, everything is a very good quality of leatherette, by the way, as well. Cup holders here are not adaptive. That's maybe the one thing, but when you like close it and here open the stuff, that is once again a good quality. And you can also just fold down this ski hatch part. That's also possible. So yeah, there's hardly anything you can wish for more as for, you know, space and flexibility here in the rear. Boot figures 845 liters, or here even 910 liters for the 5-seater. First of all, 5-seater for maximum trunk. Then here 1.40 meters in width in the lower part, and the length here is about 1 meters and 10 or 43 inches. And here the height, enormous, at 83 centimeters or 32 inches. That's awesome. Here, by the way, this cover is also nice, especially here in the 5-seater. Just a press and very smooth here with the tight rail. So that's well done. Of course, here the rear seats, that is pretty cool now here, that you can see the difference once again what I showed you earlier from the rear seats here, that you can make this trunk so much longer. Actually, there you can see the difference, or you can just put it on 1/3, or here this 2/3, and there you can have this really even longer trunk area then. So that's actually pretty cool. So let me put that back again. Go with our remote unlock. It's just that they don't fall down completely. So when you have to go around and here, and then you lock them in. Sometimes these lashes then are hidden underneath the seats. That's the problem sometimes, but in this case they're outside, and then you can also unlock them again. But there, yeah, for that you also have to go around. Other small features are you have these nets where you can pull them like this, then you can put things in easier. There can be another net, for example, installed right here. So multiple accessories are also available. And then underneath this, like a floor mat, either like this, normal one, but you can also turn around, baby. There we go. And here, have then this rubber, more rugged surface. You can clean easier. And underneath, we here, in this case, have a full spare tire, although there is the subwoofer in the middle. So it's a pretty cool solution. And for example, these trunk splitters are hidden there as well. So yeah, as we know from Skoda, always much flexibility here in this loading department. And the total length here to the seats as we would be driving, 195 meters or 76 inches. That's cool. Sport mode. Ooh. So that was like 20 to 120, something like that approximately. Very nice acceleration here from this 265 horsepower engine, now 20 horsepower more. 6.3 seconds here with the 5-seater version in the acceleration from 0 to 100. More than enough, especially for a reasonable sized SUV. Here now on the Croatian motorway, 130 we can drive. Let's do one more, 110 to 130. There we go. And here in the sport mode we also have some kind of sound emulation. Yeah, it's somewhat artificial, but I would say it's still somewhat okay. I can also go back to the comfort mode, then you hardly hear anything of that. Wind noise, I feel, is alright at 130 kilometers an hour. Yeah, so it's like 75 miles an hour, something like that. However, a lot of rolling noise and booming noise considerably. So it's not the worst, but also not the best as for the NVH here while driving. So I think it could be a little bit more silent on the motorway, but it handles very nicely. Also when you're doing some lane changes, no matter in which driving mode you are actually. Even when you're just here in the comfort mode, handles really nicely. The DCC Plus, they call it here, DCC Pro at Volkswagen. That's the same technology, dual valve technology. It's doing a very good job in offering both comfort and sportiness. You do feel the 20-inch wheels though, so especially when you go through some small potholes. Of course, these large wheels, they do reduce the comfort. Let's try lane changing in the sport mode. Yeah, the suspension gives you more feedback then. It's actively adaptive, so you can choose the driving mode and then this preset also changes. So in the sport mode a little bit stiffer, but still in the comfort mode it is sporty enough, and in the sport mode it's still comfortable enough, you know what I mean? But you do feel these presets. If you go longer on a longer journey, maybe then you stick with the comfort mode. Or what I also like is personal mode. So the individual mode I have set, for example, on the suspension all the way on the most comfortable setting, but more feedback from the steering wheel. And then when you have the steering wheel feedback a little bit stronger, I think you also have just a better feeling for the vehicle. But here also small commands are being transported, so it gives you overall nice driving feel. And I mean, it's not a small SUV, but it still feels light. It's on this compact class platform, and it's actually not too heavy considering what you carry around, you know what I mean? So that's the cool thing here. Of course, the all-wheel drive will never be rear-wheel biased here, more front-wheel biased all-wheel drive, but for most situations that's absolutely fine. Let's also test the assistance systems. So now setting the cruise control. Yeah, there's 80 kilometers an hour speed limit here, but no one seems to be interested in here. Maybe our Croatian fans can elaborate more on that. First of all, one more acceleration from 80, because now we can accelerate out. Let's go. There we go. That was 80 to 130 kilometers an hour. And now back to the comfortable setting and also the cruise control. Nice clicking sound here when I set it actually. And I also activated the travel assist. That means the most elaborated assistance system they have. Let's see how it's keeping me in the lane and how smooth it actually goes. Also when the motorway does a slight bend. Some corrections here and there, but overall good job. This is also meant for the motorway. He again wants like some feedback that I'm still on the steering, but that's actually, I just had to grab it like this and that was already fine. So I don't like to move it strongly or something like that. Then blind spot monitor. In the side mirror you have this flash here in the side mirror. You can see very nice when you hit the turning indicator, then you get like a very short frequency flash in there, so that's really good. So I'm really happy with the assistance systems here. Sometimes when the corners are too strong, then it's a little bit too much overcorrection. Maybe that can be fixed, but overall it's definitely on a high level. Yeah, so now at 130 kilometers an hour, the asphalt here is kind of rough. It also depends always on the surface you're driving on, but I think the one thing I would wish for this vehicle that it's a little bit more silent, because here 130 kilometers an hour, like 75 miles, 80 miles an hour, is a typical traveling speed for the motorway, and I think that could be a little bit better. As for the sport seats, as I told you earlier, I think they hold you tight very nicely. They're also, for me, actually quite good in the ergonomics. Maybe at the sit bone a little bit more seating depth, but that's actually it. And the microfiber material is also passively breathable, so to speak. So it's also fine. So it's a good motor vehicle. The only minus is, as I said, when the asphalt is rough, should be a little bit more silent. But the cool thing is that you can always have fun, and also like when you have time and everything is free, then just do some lane changes, because it's really fun. It doesn't look like that on the outside, but it's really fun to move it around. And that also, of course, accounts here for this RS factor. But I would suggest that we find some more fun corners here for you right now. And now let's take here some more corners. We do feel the 20-inch wheels here now because this road is sometimes a little bit destroyed. So yeah, that's the thing, that you feel that the suspension is working very great, both in sportiness and comfort, but the 20-inch wheels, of course, brings some comfort losses. But since the suspension is doing a good job, it's actually fine. And remember, there's still a 5 or possibly 7-seater SUV, a lot of space on the inside. And for that, it handles really, really well. As I said earlier, it feels still like Volkswagen AG compact class platform, but that's a good thing because it doesn't feel too bulky indeed. And here, there's no one on this road at the moment. And here I can also show you some slalom, for example, and good commands here, good reactions from the steering. So it feels really good in the handling. It feels like you are in control all the time. That's to me the most important thing. You're also here at a higher altitude. Interesting that Croatia is also something like this. Everyone always thinks of like the nice beaches and the beautiful small harbor cities and so on, but this is also Croatia here. Very interesting. Now in the next corner, once again suspension keeping us upright. The car is not leaning much into the corner. Any signs from Leah yet? She's fine.
I'm fine.
She's fine. Yeah, it's always like the motion sickness indicator, and always speaks for the vehicle when Leah is not getting any motion sickness, and that's of course really good. Here now also see how much I have to turn the steering wheel, or how not much I have to turn the steering wheel, because the RS version here of the Kodiaq always features the progressive steering. That means you don't have to steer so much. You can keep both hands at the steering wheel all the time, because the commands are really easy to do. So not much angle of the steering is needed. And that's once again a lot of fun. Let me just check. I think we should go left here, right? Yeah, that's correct. We can come to a stop here, wait for this truck, and then we can accelerate out of the corner, because that's also a very interesting thing to do. What does the car do actually? Ah, nice here, very controlled. Seen that? So the steering wheel didn't move by, move by its, that chasse-neige, as they call it in French, is moving really quickly, like quicker than anyone else on the road. Interesting. So what you've seen there with the acceleration out of the corner, very interesting. Of course, power is sent to the rear wheels, so you don't have like this stamping from the front wheels. Yeah, it is still a front wheel biased platform, so to speak, but more power sent to the rear wheels when you accelerate hard. And also you can still control the front steering, like the front wheels. So that is nice that you're also in control even in these kind of conditions here actually. And I can just say once again that these corners are so much fun. Although the car is not a small one, it's also not as heavy as other SUVs, so it's not pushing me into the corners that much. I have to say I really enjoy driving it here. So this discipline here in these winding corners, definitely even more fun than the motorway. And sometimes you have to say, yeah, the SUVs, they maybe offer good space and comfort and practicability, but then they're not much fun to drive or something like that. But here, this one is a lot of fun to drive. So yeah, really like it here. And I can continue on for a long time, and Leah also still looks good and relaxed. I think we can just keep doing what we're doing right here. Consumption for today, with a lot of like 100 kilometers, 60 miles motorway driving, 8 liters on 1 kilometers, so 29 mpg US, 35 mpg UK. And about the pricing, a normal Kodiaq usually starts at about like something above 40,000 euros if you take the German reference prices. This one here now, as it stands, with some equipment, it's like 60,000 euros for the VRS version. And yeah, of course, that's approximately the most expensive Kodiaq you can get, but when you pick a non-VRS version and spec it to the max, you already get close. And considering to the competition and also considering how much space you get, how much power you get, it's still somewhat a decent offer. Yes, car prices have gone through the roof. I mean, the average car price is around 50,000 euros or $50,000 nowadays, which is definitely crazy, also because of inflation and so on, and additional costs because of emission treatment and safety equipment and so on, and because the manufacturers also struggle themselves. But overall, I think for what you get, it's still a very interesting proposition. Or what's your opinion on that? Of course, we have the normal Kodiaq here for you, or if you want to check out a competitor.